Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Please remain standing for the playing of the national anthem. Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, the Honorable Olivia Grange, Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honorable Carl Samuda, Minister of Labour and Social Security, the Honorable Desmond McKenzie, Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries, Samuda, Minister without portfolio, the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Honorable Aubin Hill, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, the Honorable Delaware Chuck, Minister of Justice, the Honorable Audley Shaw, Minister of Transport, the Honorable Marlene Malahou Fort, Minister of Legal and Constitutional Affairs, the Honorable Floyd Green, the Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Senator Natalie Campbell Rodriguez, mayors with us this morning, Mr. Richard Creary from Port Maria, Mr. Norman Scott, His Worship Norman Scott, the Mayor of Spanish Town, His Worship Sheridan Samuels, the Mayor of Lucy, His Worship Paul Thompson, the Mayor of Port Antonio, His Worship Leroy Williams, Mayor of Montego Bay, His Worship Colin Gager, Mayor of Falmouth. The permanent secretaries, heads of agencies of the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, and other agencies, Bishop, the Honorable Dr. Harold Blair, Ms. Jamila Falak, members of the National Labor Day Planning Committee, other especially invited guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, everybody. Right, so we do these things a little differently in Jamaica. As is our wont, when we're doing big national events like this, we begin with prayers. Leading us in prayers this morning is Bishop, the Honorable Dr. Harold Blair.
Shall we bow our heads and hearts in prayer? Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you with thankful hearts that you have made work a part of life and given us the opportunity to glorify you in our labor. Thank you that we can labor hard each day and go to bed knowing that we have accomplished our assignments. Thank you for the good days and the difficult ones. And for them, the gifts you have given us to help this nation, Jamaica, to be a better place through our work. While we know work is good, we also know our work today isn't what you intended and is often hard and frustrating. We all know the consequences and labor and work, toilsome labor, injustice, trials, and also the pain of wanting work but not finding it. May these painful days and the situations drive us to you. Help us to be humble, teachable, hardworking, and complaint-free employees, even when doing the mundane task we would rather avoid. May we work in faith. May we be motivated by a love for you and a love for those whom our work benefits. Our Father, on this day, as your servant Prime Minister and Your Holiness launches Labor Day, we pray for all who shoulder the task of human labor in the marketplace, in factories and offices, in the professions, and in family living. We thank you, Lord, for the gift and the opportunity of work, and may our efforts always be pure of heart, for the good of others and the glory of your name. These and other blessings we now ask, in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Thank you very much, Bishop. Towards the end of this program, there will be a special activity across the lawn. So I'm using this opportunity to advise, especially the members of the media, about that. There will be a bus that will transport you and the people who will be participating across the lawn. So we'll give you another alert later on. But how about a performance? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Jamila Falak.
Testing. Honorable ministers, distinguished guests, blessings. If you'd allow me to say a few words as we set up. I am Jamila Falak. I am a creative musician, entrepreneur, Jamaica team coordinator at the Caribbean Tree Planting Project, and founder of Plant and Play. And accompanying me on stage today is my dear friend, Nicholas Renford. It's an honor not only to share my voice musically today, but to also stand for great cause with my Jamaica. May we continue to mitigate and adapt effectively towards climate change, empower our youth and our women, and also just continue to adhere to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals towards a better and a wonderful world that we call home. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue, clouds of white, bright blessed days, and the dark sacred nights. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. so pretty in the sky, and I see it on the faces of everyone sitting in this room. I see a friend shaking hands, singing, how do you do? What they're really saying is, I love you. We see children grow, we watch them grow. I learn much more than we'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Thank you.
One more time, please, for Jamila Falak. I always look forward to the end of that song when oh yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm kind of cold this morning, but as the morning goes along, we'll try to warm you up. To tell us about the exciting things that we have planned for Labor Day and Workers' Week, please welcome the Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, the Honorable Olivia Grange.
Thank you, Oliver. I hope I can warm up the place a little now. Prime Minister, don't worry, sir. I will not do anything that you don't like. At this time, before I do the acknowledgements, I'm going to ask for the Labor Day jingle to be played. Maybe that will warm us up a bit.
Labor Day 2023, that are the pre. Just mark down the date, Tuesday, May 23. Right time to plant a tree. Start weed out the place. Grab a lax, grab a shovel, make we green up the space. Fruit tree, shade tree, make we plant it there. It no matter if it big or if it little, yeah. Ready up and listen and follow me there. Make us a rope. 99.9% of shade where they bought from the tree, them they round ya. Big up the people who plant up the trees years ago. Now we know, say the action they wiser. More tree food security I run up. Go on in that the go plant a tree and make it come up. Shade it a go give we now the summer and go burn up. We a plant up the tree so we environment a turn up. 99.9% of shade where they bought from the tree, them they round ya. Big up the people who plant up the trees years ago. Now we know, say the action they wiser.
This Labor Day, May 23, plant a tree for life. Promoting climate change, food security and road safety. A message from the Labor Day Secretariat.
Hope you like it.
Labor Day 2020.
Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, colleague ministers, senators, mayors, councillors, permanent secretaries, heads of agencies, other specially invited guests, members of the Labor Day Planning Committee. Let me begin by welcoming and thanking you all for joining us this morning. Permit me to say special thanks to Prime Minister for hosting us here in his executive facilities, the executive offices. This morning, I will give a quick overview of what we have planned this year, and as usual, Workers' Week is a special period for us in Jamaica. And so this year it will begin on Sunday, May 14, and culminate 9 days later on May 23, when we will again volunteer or labor to make a difference in communities right across our country. The Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, will give more details on the main activities for Labor Day, including this year's focus and the national project when he comes to address us. But Workers' Week and Labor Day represent joined-up government in the true sense. In addition to Prime Minister Holness and my ministerial colleagues, Minister Carl Samuda and Minister Desmond McKenzie, I am pleased to welcome this year the partnership of Minister Pernell Charles Jr., Minister Floyd Green, and Minister Matthew Samuda in the execution of Labor Day activities. And I'm going to ask you to please applaud them and give them a warm welcome as partners in this year's activities. I'm excited to say that it goes even further, however. This year, we have designed a program of activities which will see each minister of government leading projects not only in constituencies, but also in their official ministerial capacities. And you will see that they're here this morning, and I'm also very happy to welcome them. The period of Workers' Week Minister McKenzie will speak more about the engagement of leadership at the local level in Labor Day activities shortly, while Minister Samuda will outline the main activities for Workers' Week. But I would just like to make a few brief points. The period of Workers' Week coincides with the 100th anniversary of the birth of Jamaica's third Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Hugh Shearer. In marking the Shearer centenary, we will host a special floral tribute on Thursday, May 18, the anniversary of Mr. Shearer's birth, at the National Heroes Park beginning at 9 in the morning. A Hugh Lawson Shearer lecture will also be organized during Workers' Week in collaboration with the Hugh Shearer Labor Studies Institute at the University of the West Indies, Mona, and the Bustamante Industrial Trade Union, which Mr. Shearer led. The BITU and the Jamaica Labour Party will organize other activities throughout the year to commemorate Mr. Shearer's centenary. Labor Day, May 23, will mark 191 years since the execution of the national hero, Right Excellent Sam Sharp. He was executed for instigating the important Emancipation War of 1831, which of course led to our freedom. As is now customary, we will begin Labor Day with 2 wreath-laying activities in tribute to the great hero. You noticed earlier I said floral tribute to Mr. Shearer on the anniversary of his birth. On the occasion of Sam Sharp, it will be wreath-laying as opposed to floral tributes. One will be in Sam Sharp Square, St. James, to be led by the Mayor of Montego Bay, His Worship Councillor Leroy Williams. The other is to be held at the Sam Sharp Monument at National Heroes Park, which myself and the Mayor of Kingston will lead. The National Workers' Week Thanksgiving service will be held on Sunday, May 21, at the Church of the Open Bible at Washington Boulevard, beginning at 9 in the morning. As is customary, we will wrap up Labor Day activities this year with the National Labor Day Concert, which will take place at the Emancipation Park on Tuesday, May 23 at 7 p.m. In closing, I wish to give thanks for the many people and companies who make Labor Day possible each year. I continue to be grateful for the support of corporate Jamaica in the execution of projects across the island, and will be calling on you again to get involved and help us to make a difference in our communities. To everyone, I look forward to us working together for our communities again this year. I want to make a special appeal to all of you to register your projects simply by logging on to the JIS website and clicking on Labor Day on the Labor Day banner. We will also put up a link to the registration page on the website of the Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sport, mcges.gov.jm. I just really want to thank everyone for coming out. We are streaming live, and so our function this morning is being viewed by a large number of persons in social media. I thank you all, and God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Minister Grange. And now we will have greetings from some of the partnering ministers, starting with the Honorable Pernell Charles Jr., the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries.
Thank you, Master of Ceremonies, Prime Minister Holness, Cabinet colleagues, other distinguished guests that are here. Permit me to accept the salutation as led by Minister Grange. It's a very good day, and Minister, listening to all that you have relayed in terms of the Labor Day project activities, we are certainly set for an exciting and engaging Labor Day 2023. I want to just add in encouraging Jamaica to register and to participate. Of course, we have chosen three very important areas: promoting climate change, mitigation, food security, and road safety. And we cannot overstate the importance of highlighting that planting a tree is for life. I just want to raise three issues. One, as it relates to food security, at the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, we continue to plant with a purpose. And we want on Labor Day to make sure that all of Jamaica not only plant, but you ensure that you know how. And we have our agencies. Minister of State Whitton, Permanent Secretary Spence will tell you that we've been training in terms of training our schools, training the communities, and training our farmers on how to grow smart, and that means planting with the right techniques. I want to also highlight the why, because it's important to know that the planting with a purpose requires you to understand that we are all in one ecosystem, and the trees are critical to our existence. It's not just an activity. It is for our survival on this planet. And so we encourage all who are registering and all who are listening to appreciate our trees as an important part of our existence on this planet and our obligation to protect and preserve them. We also want Labor Day, secondly, to be not just an activity where you're getting out and exhibiting energy, but we want you to enjoy it. We want it to be fun. We want it to be engaging. We want you to understand that it requires you to respect yourself, your neighbor, your community, your nation. And so for this Labor Day 2023, when you think about food security, when you think about all of the activities, we are encouraging you to make sure that as you plant, you share. We will be focusing on planting fruit trees, the backyard farming, and also highlighting our school gardens. And we do so not just for the activity, the physical activity, but because particularly of what it engenders between the students in the schools, the neighbors in the community, and us across the country. Lastly, it is critical for us as we think about planting a tree for life and the impact of it, to know that for us to grow smart and eat smart, we have to know what we're planting. And if we want to have a healthy society, it is important for us to plant the right type of trees. And so the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries will continue in our effort to make sure that we designate and teach and provide the kinds of equipments and techniques to make sure that we are planting the vegetables and the fruits. And we highlight, as I close, the fact that, Minister, we have had some increases this year, which we'll discuss in a sectoral later on today. And a big part of that has been because of our farmers. So even though we're out of Farmers Month, we use the opportunity on this activity for Labor Day to highlight and salute our farmers and our fishers. I know that they will contribute heavily to this Labor Day. Several of them have already called. We will be engaging them, Minister. Several groups will be registering for Labor Day, and we will make sure that our contribution is critical. I want to just also say that for May 18th, we will, from Southeast Clarendon, be bringing busloads of persons to show our respect and gratitude to the Most Honorable Hugh Lawson Shearer, our former Member of Parliament. So I'm very happy to hear that it will be a part of the activities, and we're looking forward, as I said, to this being not just physical, but an activity where we can be engaging, advancing the Grow Smart, Eat Smart strategies, and having fun, just to entertain and enjoy each other in our space. Thank you very much. One love.
Thank you very much, Minister. We have another greeting, this time from the Honorable Carl Samuda, the Minister of Labor and Social Security.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Honorable Prime Minister, Cabinet colleagues, invited permanent secretaries and other dignitaries who are gathered here on this very significant event to actually celebrate the commencement of the Labor Day and the week that follows. It is my real pleasure to greet you here today on behalf of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. Our permanent secretary is here, as we launch Labor Day 2023. In recognition of those whose sacrifices and commitments to the workers of Jamaica gave birth to the Jamaica labor movement. The devastating labor riots on a date that we should never ever forget, May 23rd, 1938, was the culmination of a people's struggle against a pattern of exploitation and inequality, which was characterized by social and economic deprivation throughout the island, set against a background of more than 300 years of British colonial rule. A pattern established in slavery, enforced by suppression, and which had produced bitter fruits of injustice, poor wages, and poverty for the majority of the Jamaican people. The sacrifices of those workers at Frome, workers on the docks in Kingston, and those in countless other pockets of unrest, not only gave birth to a labor movement, but set in motion a series of events that ultimately paved the way for Jamaica's independence in 1962. It was out of these worker struggles that we saw the emergence of great Jamaican leaders at all levels. Stalwarts like Aggie Bernard, who I had the greatest pleasure to have witnessed the establishment of her statue. The minister was kind enough to be there with me, and we had a lovely day, very memorable day. We went on to have a very lovely reception that everybody joined in. It was something that I'll never forget in my life. National heroes, Norman Manley and Sir Alexander Bustamante, to name a few. It was also out of these struggles that Jamaica's trade union emerged, championing the cause of the Jamaican worker. And it was out of those struggles that the Minimum Wage Act and the Labor Department became the precursor to the current Ministry of Labor. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come a long way since the devastating labor riots of 1938. Today, while we are cognizant that the struggles continue, we are proud that Jamaica can boast a culture of tripartite dialogue and negotiation where the Jamaican worker no longer needs to resort to rioting and other counterproductive measures. We settle wage and other grievances by engaging an established conciliatory process, hard won through the struggles of the Jamaican worker. Today we honor the contributions and the legacy they have bequeathed to us, which enjoys international acclaim and is symbolic with the independence and the high work ethic that we find in our workers. As we recognize the Jamaican workers and celebrate their critical role in nation building, we acknowledge the trade union movement and its part in safeguarding the interests and rights of workers. We commend our employers for their contributions to the development of our labor market. And while we recognize that there are still more battles to be fought and won against labor exploitation and to secure greater levels of equity in wages, the current state of relative industrial harmony is testament to the fact that we are maturing in our approach to arriving at consensus through negotiation and compromise. We would have heard the announcement of the minimum wage provisions of the country, particularly as it relates to security guards. We will be on Friday making an announcement with respect to the various other aspects of that minimum wage provision, such as laundry allowance, firearm allowance, and insurances for the workers, in addition to all the provisions that fall under the minimum wage provision. For 2023, the ministry will lead the observation of Workers' Week from May 4th to 23rd under the theme Celebrating 85 Years of Effective Labor Relations in Jamaica, to ensure that Jamaicans understand and appreciate the journey that has led to the ensuring of the rights which many take for granted today. We will celebrate our achievements through several activities. We will be mounting displays in tribute to the workers' movement and host a commemoration ceremony at the Workers' Monument in downtown Kingston, where last year, as I mentioned, we honored the contribution of Ms. Aggie Bernard, whose sacrifice contributed in no small way to the success of the 1938 labor movement. We will host a cultural day at the Workers' Park in Frome, Westmoreland, and we will close the celebrations with an award ceremony for the present-day stalwarts of the labor movement. So as we celebrate Workers' Week and Labor Day, I encourage all Jamaicans to reflect on our journey, the struggles of the past, overcome by the tremendous commitment and efforts of those who led the labor movement from then and continue up to today, and look to the future with optimism and determination to continue to build on our proud legacy. I encourage every Jamaican to go out on Labor Day to plant a tree for life, to mitigate the effects of climate change and safeguard our food security. I thank you all, and may God bless you, and may God bless Jamaica, land we love.
Thank you very much, Minister Samuda. And now a greeting from the Honorable Desmond McKenzie, the Minister of Local Government and Rural Development.
Thank you, Master of Ceremony, Most Honorable Prime Minister, colleague, cabinet ministers, senators, mayors, councillors, permanent secretaries, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. The Ministry of Local Government again this year is endorsing the National Labor Day project as we normally do, working closely with the Ministry of Entertainment and Culture. Just a quick overview of what local government will be undertaking this year. Each municipal corporation will have a national project that will have the focus of national attention. And the St. Ann Municipal Corporation National Project will be the St. Ann Infirmary. So we're going to be paying special attention to the St. Ann Infirmary as all part of the national contribution to Labor Day. All municipalities will undertake and participate fully in the various tree planting exercises that will be undertaken right across the various municipalities. We are going to be focusing in some parishes where we see an increase in motor vehicle accidents, a special effort to work with the National Road Safety Council and to do our part as local government practitioners to ensure that, one, we provide the support, whether it be in the installation of signs or making necessary adjustments, and I will work with Minister Green to ensure that we put those things in place. So my very brief contribution this morning is to commend the Labor Day Task Force for the initiative and to pledge the support of the local authorities, because, you know, without local government, it won't work, and we are committed to the process. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister McKenzie. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Ms. Jamila Falak.
All right, so this one I want you guys to help me sing. You think you can do that? All right, you ready? All right, so special big ups to the most honorable Andrew Holness. Enough love. Big ups, Auntie Bobsy, I love you. You know this? All right. Don't worry about a thing, 'cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Singing, don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds sitting by my doorsteps, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Sing it now. Sing it, don't worry. Your turn. About it. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yeah. Singing about it. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yes. Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun. 3 little birds sitting by my doorsteps, singing sweet songs of melodies pure and true. Singing, this is my message to you. Yes. Singing, don't worry. Yeah. About a thing. Yeah. Sing with me, man. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yes. Singing, don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. One more time. Singing, don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Yeah. Singing, don't worry about a thing. 'Cause every little thing is gonna be alright. Thank you. Love.
One more time, please, for Jamila Falak. And ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the Prime Minister of Jamaica, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you to launch Workers' Week and Labor Day. Workers' Week culminates on Labor Day each year with Jamaicans all over the island volunteering and participating in projects to help improve their communities. The work that we as a nation put into Labor Day is of immense value. As valuable as these activities are, it is important for us to recognize that the observation of Workers' Week has broader and deeper significance. The observation of Workers' Week is concerned with critically reviewing labor issues across our country and taking steps to make improvements where necessary. This year, we mark 85 years since the start of the labor movement to improve working conditions in Jamaica. It took tremendous struggle and fortitude to get us to where we are today. Consider that in 1938, Our forebears faced a struggle for equality and basic rights under a system that was designed to extract and utilize their skills without reasonable returns. Back then, a normal work week could have been as high as, rather, work day could have been as high as 14 hours. The concept of job security did not exist. Rights and privileges was just a dream, as was the idea of respect for workers and providing them with decent conditions. We have come a far way since then, but the struggle is still continuing. Today, as we launch Labor Day and Workers' Week, we pay homage to the courageous and brave men and women who led the struggle for rights and privileges and the benefits that we enjoy today. Thanks to the work of Sir Alexander Bustamante and the many other leaders and workers in the labor movement, we now have a plethora of trade unions that safeguard the rights of workers and ensure that pay and working conditions are acceptable. While 1938 stands out as the start of the labor movement because of its more recent vintage, we should never forget the role that our national heroes such as Sam Sharp and Paul Bogle played in ensuring that we were, one, free from enslaved labor, and that, two, the conditions under which we lived as a people and could earn, that those conditions were ameliorated. They planted the seeds, and today, as we launch this annual remembrance, recognition of their work and the work of many others, we recognize that without their effort, what we have today that we can enjoy, we recognize that without them, we would not have been able to do so. So Workers' Week is a time for reflection and review, to jealously protect our hard-fought and won gains, while responding to new and emerging labor market issues as we continue along the path to a better and more prosperous Jamaica for all our people. Every area of life, including labor, is affected by climate change. It is one of the greatest challenges of our time, and small island states like Jamaica are at the front lines bearing the brunt of the climate crisis. But it is a challenge that we must confront and mitigate. In other words, we can lessen the harmful effects of climate change by taking effective action to protect the environment. This year, for Labor Day on May 23rd, we have decided to put the focus on three critical areas: climate change, food security, and road safety. These areas of focus were chosen as we highlight the importance of citizen mobilization in responsible use of our roads and responsible stewardship of our environment. Tree planting is an effective and accessible way of enhancing our environment and combating climate change. For Labor Day 2023, we will mobilize the nation in one action that we can all participate in, regardless of our circumstances. And that is, we can all plant a tree. The 3 Million Trees initiative, which began in 2019, was impacted negatively by the COVID-19 pandemic. However, to date, I'm pleased to report that we have planted 2.5 million trees. And we intend to use Labor Day to plant the other 500,000. That may not be possible, but it's an aspiration. By the way, it is possible. If every Jamaican household were to decide that I'm going to plant one tree. In fact, let's do that. You know, let's do that. I'm reading the ministers' faces. They don't like when I abandon my speech. They don't like when I speak extemporaneously because it means that they get more work to do. So yes, I'm going to go into that detail. But here's what we need to do. Minister Grange and Minister Matthew Samuda and Minister Carl Samuda, the Minister of Agriculture, had to leave us. But I think we should have a competition. No, I mean, the community that plants the most trees. No, it doesn't matter. We rank them according to the ability to plant. So we group them, you know, urban communities, suburban communities, rural communities, and we do a little competition. We should organize a competition. It's quite possible to, if we were to mobilize all the communities to plant a tree. Certainly, I'm going to be planting a lot of trees, both private and as I participate in the national programs. But seriously, the tree planting is the most accessible form of activity that we can do to contribute to protecting our environment and mitigating against climate change. And we encourage all Jamaicans, all Jamaican households to participate, especially if you've had to cut down a tree. You should take it on as your duty to your environment to replant a tree. So our national project will involve the planting of 10,000 trees along Highway 2000. So let me repeat that. We will be planting 10,000 trees along Highway 2000. That is the east-west highway. So it will include the established, completed leg of Highway 2000, and we will move on to the extension that we are now working on. The tree planting exercise, though it will be largely led by the government through the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, the Ministry of Local Government, we would always welcome volunteers who would want to come and assist. This is part of a larger program to beautify our major traffic corridors and to add a certain aesthetic and calming appeal to our infrastructure as we build them out. And as you can see, we are on a very robust program of building out infrastructure. When we talk about infrastructure, it's largely concrete. And whilst concrete has a certain strength and resilience to it, it can also create its own problems. The use of cement is one of the drivers for climate change impacts. And so governments have to balance carefully as we build out infrastructure, what are the other measures we are taking to mitigate? And one of them obviously has to be in planting more trees. So this government takes the issue of climate change very seriously. And so we're not only seeking to build the infrastructure, but to balance that with supporting the measures that can be used to mitigate against the effects of climate change. But more than that, planting trees have a calming effect. Yes, they provide shade. Yes, they provide food. And they provide oxygen. But there is this symbiotic connection between humans and the environment, particularly trees, which has almost a therapeutic impact. And so the government takes it very seriously when we have to do infrastructure work and remove trees in favor of infrastructure. We have seen the complaints of many concerned Jamaicans when we have to do this. And what we have done, giving direct instructions now to the NWA and the Forestry Department, is that wherever we have to move a tree, we're going to seek to replant a tree. And if the tree can be moved and then restored or planted somewhere else, then we will do that. There are a few corridors which are slated for major upgrade within the corporate area, which will require removing some trees. Now, I've given a directive to Minister Matthew Samuda, and we have started already to plant just about 3,000 trees in this general area where we are at Jamaica House, King's House next door, along the King's House Road and Lady Musgrave Road corridor. So we have actually identified all the trees, and we have started to replant trees. So there are about 200 trees that would be affected, but we're going to plant 3,000 to replace them. Of the 200, we will see how many we can rescue. We are scoping out a particular piece of equipment that can take up the tree whole by the roots and replace them in other locations, and we will make the effort to ensure that they survive. So I want Jamaicans to appreciate that though we do emphasize the built environment and the progress we are making, because that is also important in treating with the issues of poverty, the issue of seamlessness of how we do business and the convenience of how we function in our public spaces. But we are also very cognizant of the importance of the quality of life that the environment secures for us and the impacts of climate change. So this Labor Day, we decided that we will use the efforts of our labor and direct it at this exercise, which, as I said, is very meaningful and very accessible. Almost everyone can do it. Plant a tree. So we want to do 10,000 trees. In this area already, we have started to plant 3,000 trees. So it's quite possible that if every Jamaican household were to come out and plant a tree, you know, just as how we see everybody on social media taking their selfies and posting at the beach and this and that and the other, plant a tree, take your picture, and show you exercising your social conscience in protecting the environment and doing your part. I encourage all Jamaicans to do this. Now, the Forestry Department will make trees available for planting on Labor Day across all parishes. And this will be coordinated through the municipal corporations island-wide, and therefore I encourage all Jamaicans, if you don't have the seedlings, you can make contact with the forestry department, your municipal corporation, and rather to get some fruit trees or other trees and plant. Now, this year, we're going to add a particular element to the distribution, recognizing the ecological diversity of Jamaica. When it was pointed out to me, I questioned whether or not you could have, in such a small geographical area as Jamaica, areas where certain plants are endemic, meaning that only a special place in Jamaica that certain plants or trees grow. And the answer is yes. Endemic doesn't mean that they only grow there, but they are dominant in a particular area, or they do very well there. You might have to, in other areas, you may have to make special provisions for them to grow. They don't just naturally emerge there. So yes, Jamaica, though it is a small geographical area, has quite a bit of ecological and biological diversity. And so in distributing the trees, we're going to do it by their endemic locale. So bear with me, I am not the professional, I'm just putting what my script says here. So for example, the yellow pui is considered to be endemic to the parish of Kingston, and the West Indian Jamaican mahogany is endemic to the parish of St. Andrew. This is what I learned long ago. So I know nobody will question that, but the rest is coming up. So those seedlings will be distributed through the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation. So the KCMC will be getting the yellow pui and the West Indian Jamaican mahogany. And of course, we want all households in Kingston and St. Andrew to plant the trees that are endemic. The strategy being that these trees will have the highest probability of survival if you plant them. That's the logic behind this kind of distribution. So, but of course, you know, with some of these trees, you have to pay attention to their rooting systems. They can be very wide. So you want to be very selective where you plant them. So I've already said, so for the parish of St. Andrew, we will be giving the mahogany, the Jamaica mahogany, and for Kingston, the parish of Kingston, it is the yellow pui. And by the way, the yellow pui, when it is in bloom, it is beautiful, beautiful. In St. Thomas, remember now, I'm just a messenger. It will be the breadfruit. If there are any objections, take it up with Minister Grange and the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. In Portland, it will be the water maho. In St. Mary, the anato, and obvious reasons. In St. Anne, the Santa Maria. In Trelawney, the gold spoon. In Hanover, the red nickel. In Westmoreland, the royal palm. I don't think anybody could argue about that. In Westmoreland. In St. Elizabeth, I know they will argue about this, the logwood. But the logwood grows, it grows everywhere, but it does thrive in St. Elizabeth, and in particular in the Black River area. In Manchester, it's the spicewood. In Clarendon, it's the brasiletto. I don't know that one. And anyone there can, it's a hardwood, brasiletto. I'll look that up a little bit more. In St. Catherine, definitely the lignum vitae. And in Portmore, it is the scarlet cordia. I don't know that one either. But I'm sure the botanists around here will point them out to me. But all of these will be available for distribution, so I encourage households to reach out to your municipal corporation to get access to them and plant them in your locale? Oh, in St. James. Why, this one is going to be, is a cotton tree, but I... You know, let me... it must have been a Freudian slip on my part, but it does reveal my own trepidation in naming the cotton tree as the tree that will be distributed in St. James. Now, additionally, for Labor Day, we are encouraging everyone to start or refresh their backyard gardens. And we are encouraging you to plant fruit trees and establish gardens in schools. Now, I have some work to do in that regard. My own backyard garden has kind of fallen apart because I haven't had the time to pay attention to it. But I assure you that after I've completed my national duties on Labor Day, I'm going to take the rest of the day to resuscitate my garden. The truth is that it works so beautifully. I actually changed my diet so that, you know, though I'd given away most of what I had produced, you know, I really started to do more vegetables. But, you know, gardening takes a little bit of time. And you're not truly gardening if you are farming it out to somebody else to say, you do that, and then you just come and supervise. And I like to actually, you know, put my hands in the soil and do the work. So, yes, I will be restoring my garden. And I'm encouraging all Jamaican households to do the same. If your garden fell apart like mine, you know, to refresh it. And please be motivated to start new ones. And if you have been an ongoing farmer, backyard farmer, please continue. The Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries will be providing farming kits with an assortment of fruit trees, including ackee, jackfruit, pomegranate, or panganut, if that's what you know it as. It's a very healthy fruit, and I have a couple of them in my own backyard. Very healthy fruit. I have guavas as well. Believe it or not, I have naseberries and other fruits. And I encourage you to reach out to RADA. I encourage you to contact your RADA offices. They have the seedlings that they are mandated to supply. Now, for Labor Day 2023, we will also focus on road safety, primarily through the creation of new pedestrian crossings and the repainting of existing crossings in every parish. I want to just say a few words here, which are not in my script, but since I have the rapt attention of this audience and I notice media around, there are a few things that I should say about road safety. I have noticed that there is an improvement in the use of helmets by our bikers. Notwithstanding the tragedy of the 5 young men that we lost, we will never know the potential of those 5 young men, what they could have contributed to the society, to their family, and to their community. But we do know the cost of their loss, not just in the medical cost, the funeral, the loss of income to the family, the loss to their loved ones, right? We also know as well that the impact on the national medical bill is huge. So we are now at the point where we are procuring some helmets. We promised 10,000. The Ministry of National Security They have started the process of getting about 3,000 out of that 10,000. And the others, the funding for the rest is being secured. So in short order, we will start off with the initial 3,000. The objective is to give them out freely. All you have to do when the helmets are in Ireland and we decide how they're going to be distributed is just to come and prove that you are a rider, and we will give you a helmet. No strings attached, because we want you to be safe. There are a few things that I have to say about riders. I had someone who worked for me, a skilled gentleman, young gentleman, and he was in a motorcycle accident. He was hit off his bike, and he's now paralyzed. It's really dramatic, real loss. He was a very skilled welder, and I couldn't understand why he just loved the bike so much. I always said to him, you know, why not, you know, sell the bike and pay down on a car, but that's what he loved. Now, I can't say to you, don't ride motorbikes. If that's your preference, you know, that's your thing, and I respect that. He was wearing his helmet when he was knocked off his bike. So my point is, I think we should think very carefully, and I'm appealing now to our young men, about the choices we make, right? So yes, the motorcycle can be a very exciting, very compelling mode of transportation. But is it the safest mode of transportation? So I encourage our young men who may be developing this fascination and this fetish for motorbikes to think very carefully about it. The second point I wanted to make is that most of the motorcycle accidents that happen actually happen in close proximity to their house, to where they live. Yes, that's what the statistic is showing. And let me tell you why it happens. I'm not saying that this is statistically the case. The statistics show that there is a concentration of motorcycle accidents in proximity to either where they're going or where they live, mostly where they live. And the reason that I think it is that the riders say, sure, it's just down the road. I don't need to take all the precautions that I would take if I were going on a longer journey. So a lot of them don't wear the helmet when they're just going down the road. But it's not just helmets. They don't wear shoes. So a lot of the damage that you see coming into the hospitals, they're damaging their toes and their legs and their knees because they're not wearing the necessary protective gears. And because it's just a short distance they're going, they say, I'll just scoot down there. So they're just moving very quickly. And we have seen this particularly in St. Elizabeth. And there are many tragic stories that we could tell. So I'm using this forum to appeal to our bikers. Think about it. I mean, if this is the mode of transportation that you can afford, I understand. But it is silly, it is stupid, if this is the mode that you are going to use, that you do not take the precautions to be safe on it. You might think it looks cool for you to be riding without eye protection, without helmet, without protection of your limbs. It doesn't. All it takes is for a stone to fly from under a tire and hit you in your eye, and that's the end of that. So I'm saying to our young men who are fascinated with bikes, they like bikes, use them safely. Now, for some of our young men, it is an economic imperative. In areas in Westmoreland, for example, a bike taxi is the only way to maneuver the roads and to carry passengers. Bike taxis are not unique to Westmoreland. I visited Rwanda, and that is the way in which people are transported. But if you see it done, they all have helmets, 2 helmets, one for the rider, one for the pillion, and they have their proper vest and gear. And it is very disciplined. And by the way, you can't hear the bikes. And it is a thriving business. We, however, just believe that we should ignore the safety rules and think it is cool or it will never happen to me until it happens. And then the state has to now find the money to care for you because you're not thinking about that. As far as you're concerned, you end up in the emergency room and a doctor come and treat you, not recognizing that the doctor that is treating you probably had to leave 5 other critical patients to come and treat your unnecessary wound. Multiply that right throughout the system happening almost every day. And you see the burden, an unnecessary, stupid thing, like not riding with your helmet causes. So it is something that we are very careful about in how we approach it, because we understand the social issues. It's the most affordable means of transportation, but it doesn't mean that it has to be the unsafest means of transportation. Right? It just means we have to deliberately take a change in how we do this thing. Make a change in it. A change for safety. So I appeal to our young men who are riding motorbikes that they need to take their own safety more seriously. Of course, in discussions with the Commissioner of Police, there will be a new enforcement campaign, which will be designed to intercept riders. Policemen have been injured in trying to intercept riders because the riders believe because they are on bikes, they can wind their way through traffic and escape. Well, we have put in place a new strategy to treat with them. So in all our major towns right across Jamaica, you're going to see rolled out a new initiative to tackle those riders who are not following the new Road Traffic Act as it relates to wearing their helmets. Because really they have no excuse. Having taken up all the time talking about, I will go back to Labor Day. So we want households as well, communities, to help to refresh various road markings, in particular crossings, and we would support and assist your MPs. I'm certain will be in their communities. This is a favorite project of MPs, to repaint crossings. So we ask that our MPs and community groups take on this project and refresh our road markings. We see this of particular importance. So I have one other issue that I want to address. You see, when I speak to an audience, so that's just for context, I have a speech that is prepared, which is usually very, very bland, uncontroversial, and then I have my speech. So I've been monitoring very closely the conversation around the compensation review. We're talking about Workers' Week, so it's a relevant and pertinent topic, yes, to discuss. And I've seen comments where people are saying they are worse off. I have seen comments that say the process is unfair. I have seen comments which would suggest that after the review, the entire public sector is earning less than they earned before. I have seen a few comments far and few in between, which suggests that persons are happy. I see one comment that said, well, I have never seen so much money in my bank account as what I would have gotten from the back pay. I have seen one policeman, and obviously he wouldn't want to be known, said, well, I'm very happy. No matter what you hear them say, I'm very happy. And I've seen other comments which are supportive. But obviously, whenever a government takes on these major reforms, you will not be able at first go to satisfy everyone. Whenever there is change, you're going to have some people who perceive themselves as losers and some people who perceive themselves as winners. In matters of salary, nobody's going to say they are a winner. Even if they won, people are going to be quiet, and those who perceive themselves as not getting what they wanted, they are going to be vocal. The challenge with that is it drives a narrative which is not complete. So someone who is not in the public sector, someone who is not part of this review, hearing only one aspect of the story will form the opinion that somehow the government just cut people pay. But what are the facts? I mean, the fact is that before the review, our wage to GDP was somewhere in the region of about 9.5%. Now, it's about 11.5%. So it has increased. That means the government is not just budgeting, but paying out more cash to people. I don't have the exact figure here. I don't want to be quoted on it, but so that you understand the magnitude, the wage bill has increased by over $100 billion more. So where did that money go? I mean, it's going into the workers' pockets. So yes, many persons have benefited. The structure of the increase is meant to increase wage levels generally. So, I mean, if the opposition, I've heard, said it, that the people who were getting the lowest pay, they are the ones who got so far, the biggest increases. People at the top have also gotten sizable increases, and there are concerns about what is happening in the middle. So I want to disabuse the public view that somehow, as a result of the compensation review, everybody's getting less. That is not true. And in fact, the people who were getting the lowest, they have gotten, in general, the better increases. And there is more money going into public sector wages than before. And those are two absolutely, uncontestable facts. And I think I needed to say that to balance the negative and untruth and unfair narrative that is being created about an exercise which every government wanted to do, but none of them would have done it. We didn't originate the idea of a compensation review. This was always being discussed because the previous system of compensation became a cacophony of confusion. It disincentivized productivity and entrenched unfair wage relative compensation. And so the unions always wanted a review. Governments previously have talked about the review. And the review became necessary because governments couldn't increase salaries, so they relied on something called allowance. And so allowances were used as a palliative. So this government, like with many other things, which as I muse publicly, we would probably have to reconsider how much reform we undertake. Because as a government that is reforming Jamaica before your very eyes, the people who will benefit from the reform, who are benefiting from the reform, don't always appreciate and understand how the reform, how it is necessary and how it works. Now, let's look at another part of this compensation review. You know, before you had numerous scales. I don't remember how many scales the Minister of Finance said we had. But, you know, I don't remember. Something like over 200 scales. Now, which system can work with 300 scales? Different scales. And the problem is the scales are very narrow in terms of scope of progress within them. And sometimes they overlap, so you don't know which scale you really fall into. A confusion. 300, can you imagine negotiating that? Now we have worked it down to about 16. That's my last recollection. And these 16s, I believe, 16 scales have about 13 points in them. My understanding is that about 50% of the public sector would probably fall in scales 1 to 6, which means that your possibility for progressing up the scale, meaning getting greater salaries as you progress through your career, has improved. The challenge that we are facing is that most people in the public service now believe that because the major entities have settled, that the process is at an end. And that's it. Whatever anomalies that exist, they're going to have to suffer with that. That is not the case. The compensation review has to be ongoing. It is not just a 1-year or 2-year exercise, something that we have to have systems in place, even after settlement, to ensure that the anomalies are addressed. And the Minister of Finance will make an announcement shortly as to what processes will be in place to give assurances to those people who feel that they have been unfairly treated with or that they are in a worse position, to ensure that that is not the case. So a process will be engaged. Sorry. A process will be engaged for that. So I say to people, before becoming purveyors of negative, before trying to create a negative perspective on the entire system, think. And I say to the general populace, before consuming misinformation, think. The information is there. Research it if you will. But not everything you hear is true. People have vested interest in seeing this not work. So, the compensation review is one of the significant institutional transformation of the Jamaican society. it ranks right up there with the change in our fiscal arrangements, the change in our monetary arrangements, the changes we have made in the Road Traffic Act. That is, significant and revolutionary in bringing order to our roads. But these changes, when they are made, they will cause disruption. But as we progress through the changes, you will start to see the benefits. And so I'd say to Jamaicans, yes, it's a difficult time. Yes, change might seem like chaos. But don't get caught in the chaos, because there are always entrepreneurs of chaos. People who want to use the good change to secure their own personal interest. This government has sacrificed significant political capital in making these changes. We could have gone ahead and just kept our political capital and leave things as they were and just get reelected, and nothing changed. But I have said to my cabinet and the political party that I lead that I am not here for power's sake. If you have power, you must use it to make changes. So no matter how much YouTube and TikTok negative video they're going to make, the facts are that this government that I lead has made the changes that is resulting in improving people's lives now and certainly will lead to a better Jamaica in the near future. And let me put them on warning, those people who are making the fake TikTok videos and feeding it to unsuspecting people who don't understand it. Every morning somebody called me, sending me a TikTok video or a YouTube video. What about that? And I say it's nonsense. And I give them the counterfacts. We can do that too, But that's not what we do. We don't believe in tricking the people of the country. Anyways, Labor Day. So let me go back to my script. I wish to recognize Minister Grange and everyone who gave their time to serve on the Labor Day Planning Committee 2023. Thank you all for your hard work in getting us to this point. Let us plant trees with enthusiasm and care for our Jamaica. Let us focus on growing what we eat and eating what we grow. Let us drive with caution and awareness. Let us treat each other with respect on the road. Let us cease driving at excessive speeds and recklessly. I invite you all to join us on Labor Day to plant trees, promote food security, and observe road safety. Let us together work to make Jamaica a greener, healthier, and safer place to live. Let us honor the spirit of Labor Day with gratitude and pride. Let us together work for our success and prosperity. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. So we're almost at the end now. I'm inviting Senator, the Honorable Matthew Samuda, to explain what happens next. Senator.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister, Cabinet colleagues, Permanent Secretaries, Excellencies, friends all, mayors, indeed. I've been given the 1-minute signal from Minister Mackenzie, so I will indeed try to be brief. As the Prime Minister would have indicated, within this area, we have committed to planting some 3,000 trees. And in line with the theme, which is Plant a Tree for Life, promoting climate change mitigation, food security, and road safety, we will ask those of you who are able
to join us to plant a few trees, which will include Jamaican mahogany, which we'll ask the Prime Minister to plant, some lignum vitae, yellow, white, and pink pui, and jacaranda towards the boundary of King's House. This is within the target of the 3,000 Prime Minister, but to note, we've also distributed some 3,000 trees to households along Lady Musgrave, Arthur Wint, and East King's House, in addition to the ones that we have planted as well, PM. So we are working along with your stretch targets that seem to grow when the microphone appears. But we're trying to keep up, PM. We're trying to keep up. No, so I will ask, certainly, Cabinet colleagues, we have a bus for those who don't want to take the stroll, because it is rather hot. Seems summer has come earlier this year. We will ask all to join us in planting those trees. There are some free seedlings also for those who want to get a head start on their Labor Day project. They are by the planting site for those who wish to take those home and get started, and they're in line with the trees that I would have listed. So ladies and gentlemen, I ask you to join us at the planting site, because it's important that we get a head start since the Prime Minister has moved the target to 500,000. So we're getting started today, PM. I think it's now Labour Month.